Good morning, everyone. Welcome to March's LinkedIn audio event. Fantastic to be with you this morning. Joseph, Dr. Linda, Latha, thank you for being here early on. Appreciate your support. Can everyone hear me properly? If you can, just put a little love heart reaction, thumbs up. Perfect. Sounds amazing. Brilliant. Really jam-packed half an hour to come this morning. I'm very excited for it. I hope you are too. The best ways to use video for your brand in 2024. So as we're just awaiting a few more listeners to arrive, I'll just go through a little bit of a summary around the talking points for today's events. So the main talking point is, of course, the best ways to use video for your brands in 2024. But before you can understand the best ways to use video, you do need to understand a bit of the background, what's working and what's not working in marketing currently, and where things are at right now. So we'll start off today with a little bit of a talk about what's new in marketing for 2024, how this is different to, say 2023, and then even further beyond that, the past 5 to 10 years. The transition from the past few years to the current age of marketing, and I'll define what that current age of marketing is. We'll look at the role of modern marketing and the impact that video can have on your brand's marketing activities. We'll have a quick look at brand engagement, what that is, and how video can help to improve that brand engagement. And then finally, of course, what we're all here to learn, we'll learn about the 5 best ways that your brand can utilize video marketing in 2024. Kelly, thanks to see you jumping in this morning. Hope you're well. Look, we'll get straight into it, guys. My name is Didier Lemieux. I'm the founder and director of Fixon Media Group. We're a video production company based in Melbourne, and this is the best ways to use video for your brand in 2024. So let's have a look at where things are at right now. So 2024, March 2024, it's been a strong start to the year across the board for many Australian brands. But if we're looking across the greater marketing landscape across the board, things are all pretty similar to 2023. Not much has changed in the first few months of this year. However, what is very prevalent is that one variable of marketing has increased in its critical nature of use. And that variable is trust and transparency. As many of us will be aware, 2024, it's an election year over in the US. And whilst that doesn't directly affect the landscape of Australia, it's an indicator of what is to come in terms of marketing, because a lot of the brands over in the US, and especially those that trade internationally as well, they're going to be facing a critical decision. And that decision is on deciding what they are going to promote and when they're going to be silent, because it's all very heavily connected to the election campaigns over there, of course. So this, as a consumer, you and I, consumers, as clients of different brands, this is going to increase the dependency on trust and authenticity, because we want to be looking at brands and supporting brands that are open and honest, and they're truthful. In Australia, particularly, we've already seen the impact this year that a lack of authenticity can have on a brand. If we go back to January, Australia Day, Woolworths, they've taken the infamous stance, you could say now, against Australia Day. It's been described by some as an act of political activism. But what we can all agree on, or most of us can agree on, I think, is that it wasn't a genuine brand value to support this. And this is why they've had such an uproar about it, is because it was pretty obvious it wasn't a true belief of the company. It was more so just to get involved on one certain side of politics. I won't go any further into that, but this is the overall approach that we've seen. As a result, huge pressure on the brand, and that is supplemented, of course, with the rising grocery prices, record profits, and with everyone in Australia doing it tough at the moment, you and I doing it tough, cost of living's through the roof. All of this came together, and their CEO, Brad Banduki, he stepped down due to the negative pressure. So that's the impact that a lack of authenticity can have on a brand. If we bring that back now to the current marketing landscape, as I said, very similar in 2023 to what we're seeing in 2024. However, this reliance on trust and transparency has increased, and that's evident through the likes of Woolworths. So that's 2023 versus 2024. But how have things changed in the past 20 to 30 years? Just so we can get a bit of a scope and understanding as to where things are at right now and why are they the way they are right now. So let's roll back a bit through time. Look at the 60s through to around the 90s. That was an age of marketing called the Mad Men age of marketing. You may or may not be familiar with this term. During this time, marketing was very push-based. Brands would have a message that they wanted to get in front of potential customers, and they would just push this message out to anyone and everyone, who would listen. And this was mostly done through media platforms, newspaper, radio. Of course, there was no internet back then. But as the internet started to rise in popularity in the early 90s, a new age of marketing was created. And this was known as the digital age of marketing. And to a degree, the digital age of marketing is still happening today, although in a slightly different context, which we'll touch on in just a moment. So as the rise of the internet started in the 90s, we went away from this idea of the madman age of marketing where the message was pushed out to anyone. And we now had the ability to target specific demographics. And this is highly, highly powerful. And of course, these days with social media and algorithms, digital ad campaigns, as marketers, we can pretty much now target a single individual. That's how powerful things have become. It's gone to the point now where you and I, we could be searching on Google for a new pair of runners, and the next time we open up Instagram, there's an ad waiting for us right there, bang in the middle, buy this runner. So it's incredibly powerful. I want to open this up to the floor. So you've got the little reaction button down the bottom there, the love hearts and the claps and the thumbs up. Have you all heard of the saying, there is no such thing as privacy? If you have, put your little thumbs up or a love heart, because it's an interesting concept. Dr. Linda, thank you for that. Yeah, so that's how powerful things have gotten now, to the point where we can be on Google and then all of a sudden we get an ad on Instagram. Two separate platforms, but they work together to target us in their marketing. So this brings us to where we are now, the modern age of marketing. It's slowly shifting away from this digital age, and it's the birth of this new age of marketing. It's been happening the last 5 years or so, but it's really starting to become prevalent right now. And this age of marketing is known as the immersion age of marketing. The immersion age of marketing. So the immersion age of marketing, it can be categorized by the direct two-way conversations between brand and customer. It's moved away from this idea of push-based marketing that we saw in the Melbourne age. It's gone away from directly targeting a customer through an algorithm, through an ad campaign. And now it's about a genuine connection, a two-way conversation between a brand and a customer, as opposed to a one-way conversation, which we saw previously. This is being played out mostly in the digital space, hence why there's still that kind of twofold approach to marketing, digital marketing, and then you've got the immersion age coming through. It's all very similar, hence why it's playing out in social media, but we're seeing it mostly in the comment sections of content being pushed out, because brands are talking with their customers in these comment sections. So it's no longer about pushing a message down a customer's throat, as we've seen previously. It's no longer about targeting ads to a specific demographic. Now it's all about fostering a real, genuine connection to a customer, and a customer to a brand. It goes both ways. And the impact of all of this is brand loyalty, and that's huge, especially in times like these where cost of living is so high. We're shopping around for the cheapest products. If your brand doesn't play on price, which hopefully it doesn't, and you're trying to win customers over through your unique perceived value, then you need that brand loyalty. And this is where this all comes into play, because if you can build a loyal customer base, when times get tough like they are now, your customers are going to continue to buy from you. And that's huge in these times. In troublesome financial times, you want your customers to continue buying from you, even if you're not the cheapest in the market. So then how does video impact on modern marketing? How does this all intertwine? The way I view video in modern marketing is twofold. So firstly, I believe it's a necessity for most brands. Necessity for most brands. I don't just say this because that's what I do. I produce videos. I don't say it just because of that. I genuinely believe, from a marketing perspective, it is dollar for dollar one of the best investments that a brand can make in their marketing. 65% of the population are visual learners. I don't know if you've heard that statistic or not, but 65% of the human population are visual learners. And with this current age of marketing being all about forging genuine connection, real relationships with your customers, then what better way to do that than utilizing this leverage of visual learning and producing an educational video, for example, or a behind the scenes video of your work. This is kind of the realm that things are moving into now. This is how we build that connection up. I mentioned it was twofold, my view on video marketing in the modern age. On the other fold, if you want to call it that, the other side, I believe video doesn't have to necessarily be a necessity, but it can also be a supplement. It can be a supplement to a social media strategy, podcasts, LinkedIn audio events. It doesn't have to necessarily be up front and center and relied on as heavily as it may be in other brands. We're all different at the end of the day. So it doesn't have to be a staple in your marketing diet. It can be a supplement. Think of it in that side of things. One of the terms to describe the impact of video, and this is really a good indicator of where things are at with this modern age of marketing, is brand engagement. Now, you may have heard this term brand engagement before in relation to social media, and there's a very fine line in it. We all think of engagement being likes and shares and follows, and that does have its place, 100% it does. But this is a different context. When I refer to brand engagement, I refer to it as a measurement of how strong a connection a client has to a brand, and it's irrespective of social media metrics. So I'll say it again. So brand engagement is a measurement of how strong a connection a client has to a brand. And this is irrespective of social media metrics. And this is what we're trying to improve in modern marketing. We're trying to increase this brand engagement, improve our relationships with our customers. So then how does video help with this in the modern age? At its core, video is a storytelling platform. And hence we can use connection tools within video to tell a story that wins people's attraction. The best thing about video is you can craft a relatable situation. You can use humor. You can lean on your brand's core values. You can create emotion and connect on a deeper level with people, with your customers. If you create this relatable situation on camera, put yourself in the shoes of your customer. Think to yourself, when they see this film, will they be like, hey, I've been in this situation before? Or maybe they think about it from their friend's perspective. Like, oh, hey, hang on. Diane over there, she had this happen to her once. It's relatable. And that's what draws that connection in. It's a conversation starter as well, which is huge. And that conversation starter subconsciously is what attracts viewers to a brand to become a customer. And as we know as marketers, a lot of the success from marketing campaigns comes from those subconscious impacts. They're very often what gets a sale over the line, draws that connection, and sometimes you can't even quantify it. It's interesting how it works. Another perspective I want you to think of is, think of your friendship or friendships that you have in your life. The reason you're friends with them is because you find them relatable, right? And they find you relatable. You get each other. And this is the same between a brand and a client, and a customer and a brand. It's a similar relationship. So then when we pair relatable situations with emotion, we can use our brand's core values to attract people with similar core values. And then from there, we've got a fan of our brand. So then how can we use different types of video in our brand marketing to improve our brand engagement, build these connections with customers, and ultimately win as a brand in the modern age of marketing? So there's 5 pillars of video that can help with this. I'm going to go through and summarize what these 5 are now for you, and then I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into each one individually. So the 5 pillars of video to improve your brand engagement. The first are education videos. The second are videos about raising awareness. The third and fourth are both social proof, but the difference between the third and the fourth is social proof from your client versus social proof from you as the brand. So that's the third and fourth: social proof from client, social proof from your brand. And the fifth and final pillar of video is promotion. So there's the 5 pillars of video that can help to improve your brand engagement in 2024 and beyond, because it's not a short-term approach here. This is a very long-term approach, and ages of marketing don't come around every 2 years. So the first one, education videos. There was a study that got put out very recently, 2022, that found a customer's knowledge of a brand's product or service increases after watching a video about that product or service. So this goes to show that education videos are a really key part of starting to build that relationship with your customers, your prospects. Just give them a bit of an insight into your product, into your service. So think about if you were a restaurant, for example, and Laughter, this is very similar to what you do. You have a restaurant that prides itself on sourcing local, fresh ingredients. Then a really good educational video would be producing a video showing them the process from crop to meal. So they're growing the crop, they harvest it, they clean the produce, they have to transport that from the farm to the restaurant, and then preparing the meal. That's obviously a very shortened version, but that's kind of the idea, the type of educational video that can be created. If you're a tourism-based company, for example, you've got a private touring for an overseas trip, then maybe it's a video educating viewers on how you identify places to visit, because it's an interesting topic to be discussed. How do you decide that in 2024 spring you're going to go over to South Africa versus maybe in the winter you'll fly up and you'll go spend 3 months around Europe? What's your thought process around this? How does that engage certain type of clientele? The process of selecting locations within the place to visit. How do you build that fluid and enjoyable experience? This is another type of video that could be created under that realm of education films. So really, it's anything that dives into where your product or service comes from, what impact it has on your clientele, and how it makes your brand unique. Another example that most of us would be familiar with are behind the scenes videos, and these are fantastic education tools too. very similar to the social proof from your brand. Very closely fine lines there, but they're also a great education video. It really gets an in-depth understanding of how things flow with your brand. So that's education films. The second one, as I mentioned, raising awareness films. So this is all to do with your brand's values. And when I'm discussing this one here, raising awareness films, I want you in the back of your mind to just think about what happened with Woolies back in January and think about how that example contrasts with the example I'm about to bring forward. Dove is a brand that uses their core brand values and beliefs extremely well. And a lot of their video marketing is all to do with raising awareness. One of their core brand values is raising awareness for social causes. So I'll give you an example of that. They recently created a film around the impact of social media on young girls. Because unfortunately, and this is a horrifying statistic, unfortunately, 80% of girls distort the way they look online by age 13. By age 13! Most social media applications you can't even sign up to until you're 13. 80%, it's a horrifying statistic, and hence why Dove produced a film raising awareness for this. So these raising awareness films, it's all intertwined with your genuine core brand values. Genuinely, do you believe in this cause? Do you hold this value genuinely? And again, this is going to create a talking point. It's going to affiliate your brand with positive change, because word will have got out from Dove. Hey, they created this film. It would have got shared off. Everyone would be like, oh, hey, look, they're supporting, young girls. You don't have to wear makeup and change your hair and all this just to take a photo to put onto your Instagram. That was the whole idea behind the film. The important thing with these raising awareness films is that you're not promoting your brand. And that's huge. If you promote yourself within these type of films, it's going to take away from the overall message, because people will perceive you as trying to jump on to this cause, as opposed to genuinely trying to raise awareness for it and create social change. Really powerful film are the raising awareness films, and they don't have to be done all the time, but doing one every now and then is so important, just to build that extra connection and show that you really genuinely value whatever it is, from social causes to certain beliefs, whatever it is. Really, really important. So the second and third type of key video, social proof from your clients. Third and fourth, sorry. So social proof from your clients. It's a very simple and easy one. We'll all be familiar with it. Testimonial films. They're almost an industry standard for every type of industry across the board. I won't go too much into depth about these because we all know what they are, but just as an overview, testimonial films, they can be filmed in a few different ways. So the first is just an interview with your client, and that's all it is for the 60 seconds, 90 seconds, whatever duration. It's just an interview with your client. The second method of a testimonial film is an interview mixed in with a few shots of your client with your product or after your service has been performed. And these shots are called B-roll in the film industry. So it's an interview mixed in with the B-roll. The second option is, of course, a bit more expensive because it's got all these additional filming requirements, but it is a lot more of a pleasurable viewing experience for viewers because it's not as dry as listening to someone speak for 90 seconds straight. And again, this is also going to build that connection further by just showing somewhat of a relatable situation. It shows real life footage and real life use of the product and service. So that's the testimonial films, social proof from your client. The fourth type of film social proof from your brand. And this is the only type of film of the 5 where you're actually going to be promoting what it is that your brand does openly. Keep in mind, the 5th one is called promotion, but we're actually not promoting the brand consciously in that type of video, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But social proof from your brand. So instead of a testimonial, this is showing what it is that your brand actually does. An example of this would be a project highlight film, for example. So say you're a field of play company, you create sporting fields, athletics tracks. You can do a film about what it is you've done. So you've just taken on XYZ client from, let's say Continue Cancel, something like that, and you create an athletics track. You would show the challenges of the project, what the solution was that you put in place to overcome those challenges, and then of course you would show the overall results. To take that to another level, you can show the behind the scenes of what it is, from start to finish. And there's varying similarities that other companies can do as well. One of my clients, for example, the commercial painting company. So we'll produce a project highlight for them for selected projects that they want to show off. We'll film them before, during, and after the projects, and maybe for a few bigger ones, we'll incorporate a client interview too, and bring in the testimonial within that to craft both social proof from client and social proof from brand in the same film. The best thing about these videos is that they can be produced at any size of business. So from a one-person sole trader all the way up to a 20,000 employee company. It can be scaled at any size, to any project size. It can be filmed on a phone. It can be filmed on high-end professional cameras, drones, lights, etc. It's one of the most diverse films that can be created. And they really take behind-the-scenes videos to a whole other level from that education side of things too. So finally, the 5th type of video that can be used to improve brand engagement: promotion films. I said that the 4th type, social proof from your brand, is the only one where you should promote your brand, and 100% that is the only one. Promotion films touches on all those subconscious variables that we spoke about before that really make an impact in your marketing, but they're very hard to quantify. The promotion film is the North Star of brand story films. It's all about, going back to what we spoke about before, creating a relatable situation around the impact of your product or of your service, and just tell a story about it. There shouldn't be any logos, minimal product placement where possible. Of course, it's more difficult if you've got like a beverage company, for example, but it's all definitely doable. It should just be about engaging a viewer and getting them engrossed in the storyline that you're putting forward. From that impact, from that relatable situation, use emotion, use humor to further strengthen that connection. And then in the closing stages of the film, this is where you can put a logo up or a word mark, but you only do that after the call to action has been put forward. Why after the call to action? Put yourself in the shoes of your customer. You've just watched this 60-second, 90-second film, and you're feeling really good about it. You've been inspired, or you've been made aware of the product subconsciously, but you've been engrossed in this storyline. And then before the story can give you a call to action as what the next step forward is for you, a logo pops up, and bang, straight away your defensive guard is back up. You know you're being sold to now. You know you're being marketed towards. So the reason that logo gets put up after the call to action is because the call to action gets received. It gets taken in by the viewer, by the prospect, by the customer. They now feel motivated. They have the power. They've just watched this film. They're loving it. They've been empowered with a call to action. They know what their next step is. And then the logo comes up and they associate that feeling of motivation, of inspiration, whatever it is that you want from that film to your customer. They have that and they affiliate it now with your brand because your logo has been affiliated with that feeling, but only after they have that feeling. A really crucial and important step there. And again, we're not promoting the brand here, we're promoting a story, a relatable situation with a call to action for the next step that needs to be taken by the customer. So that's the promotion film, and that's the 5 pillars of video for brand engagement improvement. So I'll go through them again just to summarize the 5. Number 1, education films. Number 2, films raising awareness. Number 3, social proof from your clients. Number 4, social proof from your brand. And finally, number 5, promotional films. To summarize real quickly what we've discussed today and what you've learnt, here's a quick summary. So in 2024, trust, transparency, and authenticity are more important than ever before. The modern age of marketing, the immersion age of marketing, is all about forging deep, credible, and trusting connections with your customers. And this is done via two-way direct conversation between brand and client, mostly seen via the social media space. And this is going to help improve brand engagement. Brand engagement, of course, we defined as the measurement of how strong a connection a client has to your brand, and that's irrespective of social media metrics. Video can help to improve brand engagement through its storytelling abilities. And of course, we touched on those 5 types of videos that can be used to improve brand engagement. So, Dr. Linda, Kelly, thank you for sticking around. Kelly, I saw your claps come up there before. Thank you. Appreciate the support. I hope you two have learned something throughout the past 30 minutes and enjoyed listening. I welcome you to put your hand up if you'd like, and I can bring you up onto the stage and we can have a little bit of a chat if you like. But that's everything for today. I loved it. I hope you guys did too. And if you do have any questions, do feel free to put your hand up, and happy to answer those. Thanks for the thumbs up and the love heart there. Appreciate that. The next audio event will be on the 9th of April. And this is where we'll be looking into the future of marketing and speaking more about brand films. So keep an eye on more info soon about this. But for today, that's all from me. A very insightful 30 minutes, jam-packed with information. I hope you enjoyed it very much. So this was March's edition of LinkedIn audio events for 2024. The best ways to use video for your brand in 2024. I'm Didier Lemire from Fixon Media Group. Thank you for listening.